Thanks. Oh, sit down. Thank you. Thanks. Great to be here. It's always great to be in Naples. It's been said that when Republicans die and go to heaven, it looks a lot like Naples, and I don't know if that's true, but if it is, that's all right by me. So we're excited to be here. We're excited about what's going on here at the Freedom Institute, and it does grow out of our commitment to education in the state of Florida. We're proud to be a state that's embraced education choice for parents. We think every parent should have meaningful options for their child's education. Not every school is going to work for every kid. There's going to be different things that are different considerations. And so to say, like, yeah, if you're wealthy, you probably could have done that anyways. But you talk about working class, a lot of single moms having to be the primary breadwinner. A lot of them have not had meaningful opportunities in many places around this country. In Florida, we said that this is something that's very important. So we have not just done these private scholarships, we have a robust charter school movement, and of course, I know people here know with homeschooling, so we have close to 400,000 students on private scholarships now throughout the state of Florida as a result of HB1. When I became governor, about 100,000 through our tax credit scholarship program, but it was effectively capped there. So we've quadrupled the number in 5 years. We also have almost 400,000 students in charter schools, which are public schools, but they're not controlled by the school district or maybe more importantly, influenced by the school unions. And so they have done very well where the parent, they have no right to, I mean, it's similar to private, but these charter schools are public schools, but they have no default students going to those schools. The only way they get anyone to go is that a parent says, you know what, I want to go to this school. So you've seen that. What have the results been? Well, just our charter population, 400,000 students, well, this was when we probably had about 350 with these numbers. But if you look at the performance of just our charter population, which is disproportionately low income, disproportionately racial and ethnic minorities, if you just look at that, and that was their own state, those 350,000, which is where we have the data most recently, it would be one of the top 5 performing states in the country. Just our charter population would do that. Look at Florida overall, what we've done, the most recent Nation's Report Card in 2022. This is the first post-COVID test. We finished 3rd and 4th, respectively, in 4th grade reading and 4th grade math in the entire United States. That was not true in Florida 25 or 30 years ago. But we've also done, and we've understand, having robust choice. And oh yeah, we have close to 200,000 homeschool families now in the state of Florida. So we have really leaned in. We want to give parents meaningful options. But we've also understood that even with all that choice, still the majority of students in the state attend their local school in the school district. So we've worked hard to be able to support additional programs there. We've done billions of dollars in increases for teacher salaries. We're going to do another big push, I think, in this budget that's going to come out in the next week or so. So those are all very, very meaningful things, and the results speak for themselves. We're doing well on these metrics. Many other states have done much worse. And yes, part of it is when COVID hit, we made the decision, we got to get these kids in school. You got to be able to go to school. You can't let fear take away opportunities for millions of kids like they did in California and in Illinois. And I think what they did is going to have reverberations for many, many generations to take kids out of school like that. So we're proud of that. We're proud of doing the choice. Now, part of that flows from our belief in parents' rights to direct the education and upbringing of their kids. Yes, having the choice about which school, but also having an ability to play a role and to be informed about what's going on in your kid's school. So we've seen things like curriculum transparency, where parents in Florida have a right to know what's being taught, what materials are being used in their kids' school. Why would you oppose that? There's no reason to oppose that. And parents have utilized those resources and those reforms to blow the whistle on some things that were wholly inappropriate to be in schools. There have been pornographic books. There have been things with clearly a very bad agenda that has been trying to shove down the throats of these kids. So parents have been able to blow the whistle on that, and nobody defends any of that stuff. In fact, we just did an event the other day. We played a 2-minute video, and we showed all this stuff. Very few people even report on it because, well, some of it I don't think you could put on broadcast TV with different FEC stuff. But I think some of these others, they want to act like the parents are objecting to just normal books, which is not the case. And if they are doing that, there's certainly nothing in Florida law that would say these normal books are problematic. We're talking about an agenda. We're talking about things that are totally inappropriate. But that just gives parents an ability to participate and to know. So that's really important with the rights of parents. The other thing is, and I know this Freedom Institute is on the same page as us, you're going to have students leave our schools, whether it's a charter school, a private school, a public school district, or whether it's homeschooling, and they're going to have a variety of different pathways that they're going to pursue in life. I was just down, we were just upstairs meeting with some of the students. Some of them are doing aviation, some are doing other things. There's a lot of interest in doing a variety of things, and that's great and that's normal. And if you're going down certain fields, yeah, there may be some subjects that you're probably not going to use as much. You go down others, maybe you'll use them. But I think that no matter no matter what pathway you choose, every single person that we graduate out of our schools, they are going to be adult American citizens. And with that comes responsibilities. And part of the responsibility is having a foundation in American civics and in the founding principles of this country. And that's really been a lost art for many, many years. You go to a lot of universities, it's hard to even find courses about the foundations of the country and a lot of these ideals. And when they teach it, a lot of it's very negative, attacking the founding fathers and demonizing them. So we've made a big effort in Florida to say American civics is important. It's something that has universal application, and we don't want to be graduating people that have no foundations and that are just kind of twisting in the wind and don't know how to make sense of the world around them. So we've done things in Florida like, and yes, requiring more civics, doing all that. We've done that, and that's important, but that's totally insufficient. What we've also done is recognize that you could be a very diligent student through college, want to be a teacher. You probably haven't had the courses that you would really need to teach civics in a really strong way, given the nature of higher education in this country. That's just likely the case through no fault of your own. So we've created a curriculum for teachers, a civics curriculum, 50 hours. We've got scholars from places like Hillsdale College, people from like the Heritage Foundation to lecture about some of the really important things that led to the formation of this country. So the teachers go through that, and if they do, and it's voluntary, but if they do, they get a $3,000 bonus for doing it. So we've had thousands of teachers that have gone through and done that just since we've enacted the program a couple years ago. So that is something that I think is really, really meaningful, our commitment to civic. And then we launched the Speech and Debate Initiative. We had 10 school districts or 12 school districts when I became governor that did speech and debate. Now every single school district in the state of Florida is involved in speech and debate. So it gives students an opportunity to not just kind of wrestle with issues, but maybe be tasked with defending a position that's opposite of what you actually think. So you got to get outside of your comfort zone, maybe think about how someone else would approach an issue, try to figure out where they're coming from on that, and then make the case in a direction that you on your own may not necessarily agree with. I think those are valuable skills. What I see in a lot of these universities is a lot of groupthink. They just repeat the same canards basically, and there's not a lot of critical thinking because these assumptions are never challenged. So we're proud of what we've done in civics. The other thing that we've done, and I think is important, is just to recognize, yes, Tom mentioned, I went, out of state, for higher ed, and I'm a believer in higher ed, but I also understand that a degree from a 4-year brick and ivy university is not the only way you can be successful. And it's not the best way you can be successful for many people. So we've placed an effort, an emphasis on workforce education. You, throughout the state of Florida, are now able to graduate high school with certifications in a lot of these trades. welding, aviation mechanics, you name it, electrical. This provides graduates an ability to be gainfully employed right away without having to go in debt, without having to go through getting a degree. And look, there's pathways where you need to do higher ed, and I'm not suggesting people shouldn't pursue it if that's where their dreams take them, but I think my generation on was told you will not be successful unless you get a degree from a four-year university. That was not true. And so you had a lot of students go, they went deep in debt. They were there just because they were told they had to get a degree, maybe the degree's in something like zombie studies, and they get out and they're in debt, and then what happens? Well, they don't really necessarily have a lot of great opportunities. And so we just want to let people know that there's a variety of ways where you can do well. And I can tell you, people going into welding, people going to electrical, we have the truck driving program. We were doing 600 truck drivers a year, getting them commercial driver's license through training at our state colleges when I became governor. Now we're at 3,500 a year for commercial driver's license. I mean, these truck drivers are making $100,000 plus a year, Walmart and these other places. It's important. It's important for the economy. It gives them opportunities. Honestly, it's not an easy job. They should be getting paid that. So these are there. So there was, I think, a view that you're somehow less than somebody that went to a four-year college, and that is just totally not true. I mean, who made the better decision? Someone that went and got a certification in welding and was started to make 80, 90 grand a year right out of high school, or someone that went to school for 6 years, went on $100,000 in debt to get a degree in gender studies? Now, I don't know. Maybe you think the other one's better, but I mean, you can't be sitting there where you're looking down on somebody for making a choice to pursue career education. So we're committed to that. We think it's really, really important. We've had great success. We're going to do more. When I became governor, we were in the bottom half of states for workforce education. Our goal was to be #1 by the end of the decade. We're well on our way to doing that. So that's really, really exciting. The other thing is you are going to have some students that are not going to pursue workforce, and that's fine because there is opportunities in higher education, but it's important that this higher education is actually meaningful. And so we've really worked hard in the state of Florida to do that, first by not raising tuition. So our tuition has been the same for about 10 years in the state of Florida. It's the cheapest in-state tuition anywhere in the country. And so that gives people an ability to go without going really, really deep in debt. And if you're a top performing student with the Bright Future Scholarship, you end up going for free, certainly if you get the full scholarship, but even if you get the partial, you get 75%. So that's good. I don't want you to have to go into debt, and I think because of the tuition, holding the line on tuition in Florida, you're in a situation where you really don't have to take out a loan. I think students in college, I mean, like I worked all kinds of odd jobs when I was in school. We've made it so that if you don't want to take out a loan and your parents have no money to give you, if you're high performing so you can get a scholarship for tuition, then you work and can take care of your expenses. So you theoretically graduate with no debt if that's how you wanted to do it. Well, that's so much better than what we've seen where people are going $80, $90, $100, $120,000 into debt. So affordability is important with higher ed, and the inflation with higher ed. I mean, I know we've had a period of inflation now in this country for the last few years, but higher ed has been inflating for decades. And what do they do with the money? Part of it is they get all these loan dollars from the federal government. Are they improving the quality of the education? Largely, no. What are they doing? They're expanding the administrative bureaucracies of the universities. So you have more administrative bloat, but you're not necessarily getting a better product. So that's not what we want in the state of Florida. The other thing is the purpose of higher education is not to impose an ideological agenda on the students. The purpose of higher education should be its classical mission, pursuing truth, upholding academic integrity and rigor, and preparing students to be citizens of the Republic. So in Florida, we've said that these taxpayer-funded state universities, they don't have a license to just do whatever the heck they want to do. They need to be pursuing the traditional mission of a university, and they need to be pursuing that in a way that's consistent with the best interests of the state of Florida and the desires of the people of the state of Florida. And so we've done things like eliminate DEI from our public universities. We were the first state in America to do that. This DEI is really insidious. First, it's very divisive because it tries to divvy people up based on superficial characteristics, but it also serves to supplant merit in favor of this agenda, and that is just devastating. And so we're not doing that in Florida. We were happy to do it. Texas followed us. I think Iowa's followed us. Maybe a couple others have followed us. But the mission of the university cannot be this ideological mission. So what we've been able to do, and so for example, there's core courses that are required through our state university system. So our Board of Governors made the decision sociology had been required and American history had not been. So they said, how does that make any sense? So they said sociology is no longer required, but American history is required. To me, that's common sense. Now, you had a lot of carping when that happened, and I'm thinking to myself, why? You can still take sociology as an elective, and I think it's because they know a lot of people won't take it unless it's mandated, whereas we're now doing and channeling students into something that I think is important for understanding your country, is just important for being able to exercise the responsibilities of citizenship. So education, not indoctrination, is the mantra for the universities as well as the K-12, but particularly in the universities. And there's been a problem with this for a long time, but I think post-October 7th, when Hamas attacked Israel, you started to see all this stuff come to the forefront in these universities, particularly in Ivy League universities. And it was just a lot of intellectual and moral rot that was on display. I think a lot of people who study this knew that was kind of what was going on, but there was a lot of people that don't follow this that had no idea. And so you see these students protesting immediately after the attack, cheering on Hamas terrorists. There's something wrong if that's what's going on. If that's the ethos of your university, and you look at some of the mealy-mouthed statements that those university presidents put out, places like Penn and Harvard, and then compare Florida, like University of Florida, much different approach in terms of being able to distinguish between right and wrong. So we got a lot more to do with higher ed. I think we're now Wall Street. I mean, look, these rankings are what they are. But Wall Street Journal's most recent higher ed rankings, University of Florida ranked 15th in America, including privates, and it was actually ranked the highest public university in America. U.S. News and World Report, Florida is now 5th behind UCLA, Berkeley, Virginia, and Michigan. And we were 20th a decade ago, 15 years ago. Florida State is now in the top 20. USF has gone up. FIU has gone up. So you're seeing a lot of positive movement on that. But I think the more that we're focused on actual core academic mission, rather than going on some ideological joyride, we're going to be so much better off. So I appreciate what you guys are doing here. I think that if you look, I mean, education is important for preparing people to be able to make their way in the world, make a living, hopefully do very well financially, and that's all very, very important. But there's also a basic necessity that we're a Republican system of government. And Benjamin Franklin, when he walked out of the Constitutional Convention after they signed the Constitution of the United States, he was asked, did you give us a republic or a monarchy? And he said, a republic if you can keep it. Because they understand, you can have the best declaration in the world, you can have the best constitution in the world. These things don't run on autopilot. They require every generation of Americans to be able to stand up and defend freedom. Sometimes that may mean putting on a uniform, risking your life, and giving your life for this country. But on a basic level, I think it means that the people, the young people that we're educating to be good citizens of this republic and good stewards of the country's future. So the mission here, I think, is much bigger than just helping students who may want to be a pilot at Naples Airport, all that. It's all very important. But I think the larger thing is we have to have our education system producing really strong patriotic citizens. And you guys are making a stab at that. I think it's going to be very successful over the long term, and you can count on our support in the state of Florida to stand by you every step of the way. Thanks, everybody. God bless.